You're listening to Turi Ryder's She Said What podcast. I'm Turi, along with Marci Persky. In this installment, what does it take before the person you live with notices a relatively major change? And the Lady Bits doctor discusses the hair situation. This installment may not be suitable for those who sport a Y chromosome.
I chopped off my hair at a whim, just because I have a lot of hair and it's very unruly. And now it's much shorter and still unruly. And it's the same color that I've been sporting now for, I think, like 5 years. I mean, it's white. I think it looks cool. I like white hair. I get home from my appointment and Frankie says nothing. Now, Frankie really doesn't notice a whole lot of things. So I was just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Finally, I think I'd been home like 3 hours and we'd been hanging out and just, doing nothing. And I said, well, what do you think of my hair? And he said, not a fan.
Ooh.
I said, does that mean you don't like it?
Yeah, you're really pushing that, aren't you, there?
Well, first he goes, it's so white. And I said, it's been white. It's the exact same color. All she did was touch up the roots. It's the same color. And he said, no, I think it's whiter. So I started looking at pictures. It's the exact same color. It's not whiter. And he said, well, your hair grows fast. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then later he says, whatever you like, I like, which is even worse.
He's really trying, though. You got to give him credit. He's really trying.
He is trying.
He's so trying.
And I didn't tell him that my next plan is to cut it even shorter.
I don't think that's going to move it over into the light column.
Well, my hair is shorter than his.
If you were married to my spousal unit, he would have no idea what you had done to your hair at all. Like none. I could put a floor mop on my head and he would not notice.
Well, I had to ask him. But I might have had to ask him just because he didn't want to lie.
Very possibly. I think because he works, with aesthetics, building things and create. He probably noticed that your hair was structurally very different, but it's probably, not a design that he would have executed on his own. So
He's a new architect.
Yeah, I think he would have called in the architect and said, I'd like a few more windows and doors here. But my husband, to beat that analogy to death, my husband, if he came home and our house, instead of just being like a regular wooden 4-square house, if all of a sudden it looked like the inside of the Guggenheim, I still don't think he would notice. Here's what he notices. He notices how many seeds are coming up in those tiny little trays with 65,000 little compartments for seeds. So he could come home and our house could be a smoldering pile of stinking ash like the steel mills of Gary. And he would go straight to the back porch and go, the seeds are coming up.
And my husband's not that bad.
Well, no, he's not. He's not. But on the other hand, it works in my favor. If I've gained a few pounds, he's not particularly noticing that either. So
yeah. See, Frankie doesn't notice that, and that totally I've gained like over 20 pounds in the last year.
Well, you gain it in only one place, and if you gain weight, the only place it goes is to your breasts, and most men would be like, have another candy bar.
Well, I complain that my clothes don't fit, and Frankie tells me, you look fine. And I'm like, no, I'm an old human with a gut. You
just have breasts. That's it. That's pretty much, you're like a head on 2 large breasts, and with a head with a really cute new haircut and white hair on 2 really sizable breasts, like
That's a lovely visual.
Football helmet size breasts, and a tiny little petite mermaid body with feet instead of fins. Yeah. Okay. So while we're talking about exaggeration, we went to my mother's the other night. my mother is at a stage where what makes her happy is talking about happy things from her past. And she has almost 90 years on her odometer, so she has lots of stories from the past. If you can get her to tell one of those that it's happy, she's happy. But the thing about my mom now is that she's taken all her stories and kind of thrown them in a mixer. So
Ah,
I'm getting pieces of stories that I know and pieces of stories that I don't know. And it's kind of like the Mr. Potato Head effect. Do the googly eyes go with the red spectacles or the yellow nose? It's kind of hard to tell these days. So I'm trying to figure out what to pass along to the children. And I think that every story I pass along is going to have to come with a disclaimer. Well, your grandmother, when she told me this, was almost 90 years old. So some of this could be true. Some of this could be untrue, and some of these two pieces could be different things from 40 years apart.
well, see, my kids are in the same boat though, because they all know their mom makes up a lot of crap. Or, or I remember things differently than everybody else, but nothing's ever my fault.
Well, in this, you and my mother have something in common.
Does she have white hair?
No, actually, she does not have. She never did go gray. Funny you should.
Wow.
Yeah, thinning. All my girlfriends have thinning hair now. This
Yeah.
is the thing.
So now let's just talk about hair some more.
I don't see the gynecologist anymore because I'm so old. I barely. It's like dust. All they have to do once a year, I go to my general doctor and she just dusts down there and then everything is fine. Lemon pledge. That's the new aphrodisiac. A little lemon pledge. I go to my main, primary care doctor and she's like, how long has it been since you've I don't know. What do I need that stuff for? And she's like, okay, we'll just put a little lemon pledge and dust down
And that
there.
has to do with thinning hair.
Well, it did. So before I quit seeing the doctor, when I still had hope that they could keep you young and juicy for years and years and years without lots of drugs. And she said, no, you would have had to have started them years ago. So what my friends ended up with was the libidos of 18-year-olds. And what I ended up with was a whole new understanding of the conversation I used to overhear when I was an 18-year-old myself in the YWCA locker room. And these old ladies would be changing into their suits going, well, I just want my husband to be happy. And at the time, I thought, what's wrong with you? And now I know what was wrong with them. Anyway, I asked the doctor for juicy ladies about my hair, which I thought might be thinning. And she said, and this is a quote from an actual female doctor. She said, go buy some Rogaine. She said, buy the stuff from men. It's the same stuff as for women. It's just twice as strong. And they stick it to women by making you buy it for the same price and use it twice as often. So it costs you twice as much. So the heck with that. Just go buy the men's stuff and use it. And I thought, there's rebellion. And then I thought, that's really taking advantage of women to make something half the strength and then tell you have to use it twice as often so that they can make all kinds of more money. That just suckaroony.
Well, women get ripped off all over the place.
That is such a ripoff. And yeah, I mean, don't even make me list the dry cleaners. Yeah, just don't. Yeah.
I don't dry clean anything, but if you look at the cost of, for example, women's underwear compared to men's underwear,
yeah,
and there's less fabric and it costs more.
I hadn't ever thought of the underwear conundrum.
That's why I wear my husband's underwear.
I don't know if that would interfere with my dusting.
But I would like to add, I just want to add that I have a lot of hair and I don't take drugs.
Wait, from underwear to hair, which region are we speaking of here? Top of the head hair.
Yeah.
One of my girlfriends warned me that all kinds of hair would disappear and all kinds of hair would show up where it shouldn't. And she has proven to be accurate. I spend a lot of time just moving hair around now.
Frankie told me he saw a hair in my nose the other day.
Yeah, see what I mean? This is what happens. You hit 50
and
all the hair that used to grow disappears and all the hair that isn't supposed to be there shows up. And you're like, what? Why don't I just walk around on my hands?
Pulling nose hairs with tweezers really hurts, by the way.
I
It really
I
hurts.
think you missed the Christmas nose hair as a gift trimmer boat there. You're just a couple months late. But if you just hang on and tweeze till next Christmas, for some reason people consider this an acceptable gift. I don't know why. If someone gave me a nose hair trimmer for a holiday, I think I would never speak to that person again.
Yeah, I think that'd be kind of rude. That'd be like, here's a package of really expensive adult diapers.
Yeah.
The
No.
kind that movie actresses that aren't old enough to need them, or like wearing them on TV saying, "Oh, look, you can't see them underneath my pants." And I'm like, "Shut up, Lisa Renner. Go get more lip injections."
Yeah. There are a lot of, I'm getting also very tired of seeing actresses who are my age, but who clearly, like, that is their job to look like they're 40 years younger. And then people say, look how fabulous you can look when you're my age. And I'm like, yeah, look how fabulous you can look if it's your job.
Yeah, I'm pretty much at the point in my life where if you don't like the way I look, don't look.
Yeah. And the price that you pay is that when you speed, you get the ticket. And I'm prepared to pay that price now.
Oh, I can still cry. I'm still good at
I don't
that.
think crying helps. I think it's the
Does
ticket.
out here.
Does it?
Well, I've only been stopped once,
And
and I was
crying
driving the big
works.
red truck.
And you cried.
I had like 6 friggin' stinky cats in the back seat that I was taking out to the cat sanctuary. And yes, I cried. I said, "I'm speeding because it smells so awful in here." And he let me go. He
Yeah.
stuck his head in and he went, "Oh, be safe."
Yeah, I had to go to court on a ticket once, and the judge said, every time I hear an excuse I've never heard before, I let the person go.
Well, I let him stick his head in, so he got firsthand proof.
Not even the lemon pledge would camouflage that.
No,
No, no.
no. But I'll tell you, before I took you in my truck to Arizona, I sprayed Febreze.
The Febreze thing, I don't know if it like sucks up the odor or numbs your nose or what it does, but it scares me a little bit. It's kind of
I
like
always wondered how that works.
anesthesia. I just worry that, whenever I go under anesthesia for a procedure, there's always that chance you'll never wake up. And I feel like if I'm in a Febreze environment, there's a chance that my nose may never wake up.
Speaking of anesthesia,
Yes.
I'm having some surgery next week where they put you in the not a vegetative state, but what do they call
Twilight, a
that?
twilight
A
state.
twilight state.
Yes.
And I am so scared that I'm gonna tell secrets. I can't. It's all I dream about. I'm having like this nonstop anxiety attack that I'm gonna talk nonstop about stuff that I don't tell anyone.
Anyone?
Anyone.
Wow.
The skeletons in my closet.
Do you keep journals of these things?
Hell no. My mom taught me when I was like, as soon as I could write, she said, "Don't ever write anything that you don't want someone to read."
Yeah, I'm the same. We've discussed that. I just wondered if
Yeah.
as an adult you felt that you
No,
could transfer your demons somehow.
no, I have deep, dark secrets that I really don't want this eye surgeon to know.
Well, okay. Now I want one for the podcast. Like how bad can they
No,
be?
I can't.
Oh, come
I
on.
can't. I can't. No, I refuse. I refuse on the grounds that
Well, I guess now I have to go and look for your page on OnlyFans or something.
yeah, no, I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't want to tell this doctor. So I also don't want to be awake while he like slices my eyeball open.
Yeah, let's not even think about that or I'll just start
Ugh,
puking. Yeah.
yeah.
You know what? If there's music on, you might just talk about the music. I requested a different Joan Jett tune.
Oh yeah, they play music.
Sometimes depends on the doctor.
I'm
No,
gonna take a little tape recorder so that I know what I say.
that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna wire myself.
That's a great idea.
But yeah, I honestly I'm worried about that.
I could see that. And now I have to know if it works to record yourself while you're under twilight anesthesia. So I guess that's a to be continued. Thanks for listening to Turi Ryder's She Said What podcast. If you'd like to do us a great favor, please leave us a good review wherever you hear this podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Turi Ryder's She Said What. And you might also enjoy my book, She Said What? A Life on the Air, which you can find any place you buy your books or on Amazon.